Designing dimension tables. Okay, we've got facts, we've got dimensions, we've got our schema picked out. We're going to go for a star or snowflake schema. Now it's time to actually sit down and start putting the rubber to the road. We're ready to start actually designing the column structure of our dimension tables. So we just dive in and we start just making tables, right? No, of course not. We have to first look at all of the information that's available to us. What is the information that we want to collect in our data warehouse in the first place? The best place to get started figuring out where your data is going to come from is to start by looking at your line of business applications. This is your HR application. This is your CRM. This is your sales application. And chances are those applications have some sort of dashboard or metric in them. But if they don't, they might also have reporting. And if they don't even have that, you can just start digging into the application itself, looking for something that looks like a measurement or something that looks like a dimension. Now, let's recall what we were talking about when we said we were looking for dimensions. That's who, that's when, that's where, and that's what. Those are the things that qualify the how much question. Those are the things that give our how much question a little more depth. And you know what's really one of the best places to look for this kind of data? An invoice or a receipt. Check this out. I just Googled sample receipt, and this is one of the first things that came up. It's just a generic invoice from a company called Affordable Lawn Care. Let's start dissecting this, all right? First thing off the bat, an invoice number. This is probably something like an ID, a sale ID. The date. This answers when the invoice happened. The due date. This is how much time we have in between its due. So we've got two dates going on here. We've got the customer, so that's the who portion. We've got this geography, that's probably their address, that's the where portion. And we also have our mailing address here too. There's another where portion. Look at all of these dimensions. Who, where, when. I mean, this is amazing. This is all this information that we have in one place. And then when we get ready to do our facts, we have a how much and another how much. So what we're going to do here is we're going to write we have information on the customer. We have maybe information on the salesperson. We have information on the customer address. We have information on our address. We have information on the invoice date. We have information on the due date. We have information on the how much portions, the facts, the quantity. And we have information on the rate or price. So since we're not dealing with the facts right now, we can just kind of go ahead and scratch these out. But in general, when you're working on this, you're going to be collecting this information all at once. So now I see something. We've got our customer and maybe our salesperson. Let's kind of group those together into a who category. And we can say, okay, we should probably build a table that's going to deal with customer and salesperson. So that's going to be one of our first dimension tables that we're going to set up here. We've now got addresses. Okay, we should probably build a geography table. And in that geography table, we need to figure out how we're going to build a geographical hierarchy. I mean, think about it. We do have country, then we have state, then we have address. That's kind of building a more granular hierarchy as we go. So do we want to cram all of this information into one geography table, or do we want to kind of spread it out in more like a snowflake schema? That's something for us to figure out. Similarly, the most classic hierarchy of all is, of course, the date. The date field, even though we could just create a table that is full of dates, you have the year, then you have the month, then you have the day. And if we separate all of those bits together, we then give our developers the ability to drill down into this information. So right here, we've kind of gathered all of the dimensions that are available to us just from this invoice, and then we've kind of grouped them together based on what questions they answer. Who, where, when. Oh, and of course, we're not forgetting the product itself. We were selling a service for mowing, so let's go ahead and create a product table that just says mowing, or maybe just product, something like that, that has a list of all of our products or services in it. In this nugget, we covered how to begin designing dimension tables, which is really just understand your business. Start digging for dimensions. And now that you're armed with that knowledge, we're going to step forward into the next few nuggets where we're going to be actually building out the dimension tables themselves. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.